In this video, I'll show you how to use the default unit folders that are on every classroom page right now. I'm going to show you how to move old classroom information into these folders, how to create your own folders instead of or in addition to using the default folders, and I'll also cover how to remove those folders if you don't want to use them at all. So let's start with covering a little bit of general information about all of the unit folders. They're placed in the class info folder. So let's take a peek behind the curtain and just cover some information about that. Again, I always like to work in list view because it's a little more clear for me. Your classroom page comes with these three default folders: the assignments folder, the class info folder, and the tests folder. There are some other additional folders that aren't showing in this list because they have special features. But if you hover over your class, you can see that there's also a calendar folder, a links folder, and a news folder. Again, those have special features. What ultimately these stand for is you can categorize any of the items that you put on your calendar with whatever folders are at the top of the tree here. And by the top of the tree, I mean right underneath your class. So these 6 things, but because these have those special features, calendar, links, and news, it's only these 3 that are categorizing features. So if we keep things clean at the very top of the tree, it's going to make your calendar much more clear for students, and it'll help streamline things for them. It's also going to help you in future years when you're archiving and bringing new content in from your archives. So let's take a look in the class info folder. From the top here, the class information and key documents folder down through unit 5, those are the default folders that I set up on everybody's page. These 2 folders down here are things that I've already brought in from my archives so that I can do these demonstration videos. So remember, you can feel free to use these folders, rename them, delete them, create your own, however makes the most sense for you. Just be sure to make sure that you watch the Calendar Made Simple video and the Designing the Navigation video so that you understand how to help students access those folders. Right now, let's just talk about using them as is. If you're planning on using the default folders, you can just add content directly to them, just like you have with other class pages that you've had in the past. Just remember to use the drop-down menu to use the list here that you want to, whatever you want to add to that folder, or you can always certainly go to standard view if that is your preferred mode of adding content, and just hover over and select that green plus. Similar list right here. It's all the same things that were in that list before. So if you want to add a document or another file folder, this is how you'll do that. You can also move content from other folders into these default folders. So let me show you how to do that. These 2 folders are folders that I brought over from my archives. So let's say I have some content in this folder that I want to move and put in the default Unit 1 folder. Let's go take a look inside here. So I have several resources that I want students to have access to. I'm going to skip group projects because I don't want them to have access to that just yet. But all of these other things, I'm going to move them into the new unit folder. So I've got a list of my classes here. It's this first class on the list is the one that we're working in. So remember, I'm going to go to the class info folder. Here are those 6 default folders. I'm going to go into that class info folder. Here's my default unit 1 folder. So I'm going to select that. Now, before I click Move Selected Items, I can check the current location where these are now. They're in the unit folder that I brought over. And I'm going to go to the desired location is the new Unit 1 default folder. So I'm going to select Move Selected Items. I'll get a confirmation page that says those things were all moved over. I'm going to say OK. Now, Group Projects is all that's left in my Unit 1 folder that I brought in from my archives. And if I go back to my class info folder, there's those default folders again. When I click in my default Unit 1 folder, I can see there's all those items I brought over. Now, I can go back to class info and I can just get rid of this folder, remembering that that group project folder that I left sitting in there is always available in my archives. So I really don't need access to it anymore. I can delete it, clean things up, and keep it nice and tidy. So you may choose to rename or expand the name of the unit folders to correlate to your class content. If so, the best way to do that is to rename the folders in list view so that you're actually editing the content, and then you'll want to follow that up by editing the navigation menu to reflect those changes. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's edit the Unit 1 folder and expand it to include the title of that unit. I've already typed it out here, so I'm just going to select that and then save it. So here in List View, you can see that I have it renamed. Now let's go back out to our class page. And you can see right here that even though I've renamed it, the navigation menu still reflects that it's the Unit 1 and not Unit 1 large print pants. So you always want to edit the navigation menu from the very top page of your class page so that those changes will be reflected everywhere else on your web, on your class page website or web page. So let's go now in and edit the navigation by clicking on the pencil here. So you can see on the left-hand side, remember that this is the actual content that's on my class page, and what's happening on the right is just the design. It's the design of how I want the students to experience the page. So there is a lot more content over here that I may or may not include in the actual navigation menu. So right here, my navigation menu still says Unit 1, but if I expand the class info folder, you can see my Unit 1 has the full title there. So I'm just going to drag and drop, and then I'm going to get rid of the old Unit 1 folder, save my changes, and now my Unit folder has a title that's reflected in both content and in design. Again, make sure you watch the Designing the Navigation Menu video because I show you how to make copies of this to all your other classroom pages so that you don't have to make that change over and over again. So that covers using the existing folders or the default folders that I placed in every class page. Now let's talk a little bit about creating a new unit folder, which is a similar process. When you create a new unit folder, you won't be able to multi-post or copy that folder to another class page. What you can do, however, is multi-post a document that's placed in that folder, which will automatically create the folder on your other class pages. I know that's confusing, so let me show you what I mean. Again, I'm going to go off to List View, into my class info folder. I'm going to make a folder for the Unit 6 since that's not on here. So this is an illustration of what when you get to the end of Unit 5 and you need to add Unit 6 or however you want to manage your page. Let's add a folder. Unit 6. And we'll just give it a title now. I can always add multiple folders if I wanted to, but for now, I'm just going to add the one. Once you've created the folder, then just add a temporary document and I'm going to multi-post that to my other class page. I'm just going to put it on this template page. Now, I really don't want that temp document to exist, so I'm going to delete it. But what I want to show you is that I still have that unit folder, and when I go to my other class page, I'll have to go to List View to see it because I haven't designed the navigation to get there yet. In my class info folder, there's that Unit 6 folder, and it's also empty because I deleted the temporary document out of it, but now the folder exists on that class page as well. Be sure to watch the video on the copy and multi-post features because they're going to save you a lot of time and when you're entering items across several class pages. And again, I do a lot of my work in List View because it's a little more clear to me. You certainly don't have to work in List View, but I'll tell you that it's a lot faster since the website doesn't need to render all of these design features, all of these boxes when you're working in List View. So it actually works a lot faster. Plus, I can easily delete folders, clean up any clutter, and rename things quickly. Now I still need to go in and edit the navigation so that that Unit 6 folder shows up, but I've already shown you how to do that, so I won't include it in this video. So setting up your folders and your unit folders may take a little extra effort, but it'll pay off when you pull your archives next year, and it'll pay off when you watch this Calendar Made Simple video, and again, the Designing the Navigation menu might also help you. Don't forget to watch the copy and multi-post. They are now the same thing.